What's up, Headless Horde? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are breaking down the Season 2 finale of the Rings of Power, and this one is titled Shadow and Flame. So first off, before we get into the breakdown, I just want to say that I thought Season 2 was very, very good. I think it was far better than Season 1. We got way more character development. I thought the recasting of Adar was phenomenal. And R.I.P. Celebrimbor, because I'm going to miss that guy for sure. All right, so this one starts off in Khazad-dûm, where we see Durin is once again, I feel like this happens like every episode, but once again, he's pleading with his father to please take off that ring as he is digging through yet another wall in the tunnels under the city. Durin is worried that the ring is dangerous and could cause something terrible to happen. But the king does not listen to his son's warning like usual as he smashes through yet another stone wall, which reveals this time a ton of rich ore. Now, I don't know if this is the Minthro. I'm kind of assuming it is, but it was a glorious shot. And then, of course, moments later, they hear a loud noise from below, and it is finally revealed that they have now awoken the Balrog. The Balrog is furious and attacks immediately, causing nothing but chaos. King Durin doesn't back down though. He fights the Balrog fiercely and finally realizes what his son has been so concerned about, and he finally takes off that ring. However, the battle takes a tragic turn when King Durin realizes the only way to truly stop the Balrog at this point and protect the entire kingdom is to sacrifice himself. He seals the tunnel with the Balrog still inside, ensuring that the creature cannot escape, but this does cost King Durin III his life. Meanwhile, in the Store Village, we see the stranger has returned. He has come back to help Nori and Poppy. The village, though, is completely empty except for the arrival of the Dark Wizard. So he claims that he knows the stranger from long ago, and he tells him that they are kin. The Dark Wizard then tries to convince the stranger to join forces with him, but the stranger refuses. Enter the Wizard Scouts, who are now holding Nori and Poppy at knife point, which apparently was not part of his plan. So the Dark Wizard dispatches the Scouts after they try to blackmail him, and then this is when all hell breaks loose. So the Dark Wizard begins to use dark magic to attack, causing destruction above, having rocks and everything else fall from the sky. And this is when the stranger steps in.
That's not how the Force works.
And shows off his own powers to help protect the Harfoots and the store. During the battle, the Dark Wizard reveals the true nature of his evil plan. So he basically wanted to defeat Sauron and then take his place as the ruler of Middle-earth. But once again, the stranger rejects this offer, staying true to his own sense of right and wrong. Over in Numenor, tensions are at an all-time high. Pharazôn claims that Queen Myrrel had only survived the water trial because she made a secret alliance with Sauron. Pharazôn accuses all of those who were loyal to her. They are now called the Faithful, and they are being treated as traitors to the kingdom, and they should be arrested and tried. Arryn, remember, Arryn is the daughter of Elendil, so she is looking on, and she does not agree with his accusations, so she decides to run and warn her father. Elendil and Miro then come together to plan out how they can resist Pharazôn's rising power and protect Numenor from falling into chaos. Miro then decides that she is going to stay because this is where she needs to be, and she gives Elendil a sword. And this sword is a weapon that holds great importance. The name of the sword is Narsil. Narsil is significant in Lord of the Rings lore because it was a powerful sword wielded by Elendil and eventually his son Isildur during the War of the Last Alliance. This was ultimately used to cut the One Ring from Sauron's finger, making a pivotal moment in the fight against evil. Although broken in battle, its shards were then later reforged into the sword Andril wielded by Aragorn, symbolizing the return of the rightful heir to the throne of Gondor and the hope of the West against darkness. Over in Eregion, the situation is becoming dire. Orcs have invaded the city, and Galadriel is forced to retreat with her people to keep them safe. Sauron recaptures Celebrimbor and begins to torture him by firing arrows at his extremities while demanding to know where the Nine Rings are hidden. Celebrimbor refuses to give up the location, standing strong against Sauron's cruelty. Sadly, Sauron kills him for his defiance by using a pike to lift his body up against a pillar for all to see. Now, in the written material, Celebrimbor's body is more of a display than portrayed in the series. In Pelargir, Isildur decides to go his own way as he parts from young Theo. Theo decides to stay, and the two of them have a short conversation about losing a parent. Now, I don't know if we're going to even hear the name Bronwyn again, but again, remember, that's what Theo's whole thing is, trying to get revenge for her death. Isildur attempts to rekindle his romance with Istrid, but trouble is brewing. His longtime friend Keeman arrives and ends up taking control of Pelargir and plans to fortify the city against future attacks, leading to tensions between him and Isildur. Now, they have a short conversation where Isildur doesn't have any idea what is happening, but Keeman ends up telling Isildur that his father is enemy number one back in Numenor. We see a shot of Adar, and he is kneeling down, and we're not really sure what's going on. We see Galadriel kind of sneaking up on him. Now, remember, at the end of episode 7, Elrond, who had a Galadriel's ring, was taken by Adar. As she makes her way toward him, he ends up turning around and has the ring on, and you can see that he is starting to kind of come back to his old form. Now, the ring is interesting for me because all of these different rings seem to all have different powers depending upon who wields them. I guess this is maybe one thing in Lord of the Rings that maybe I truly never understood. So I'm hoping that somebody in the comment section below can help me out. What is it about the rings? Is it more about what the person wearing it wants? Is it what they want? Is that what the rings are doing? So that's one thing I've always been a little bit confused on. I mean, obviously King Durin was wearing the ring and he wanted to find riches. So that's my best guess, is that the rings are basically trying to give the user or the wearer whatever they most desire. So let me know in the comments if I am off on that or if I am missing something. Galadriel makes a deal with Adar to help her defeat Sauron. And then we see Adar's orcs. They kind of come in, they look injured, and he kind of heads right on over. He's definitely very worried. And this is maybe the saddest part of the episode. And it's funny because I know in season 1, I did not like Adar at all. I thought he was maybe like the second big bad. And I really come to like the character this season. And so we see the orc ends up stabbing him in the stomach area, and all the orcs join in. And unfortunately, we lose Adar. Now, this betrayal leaves Galadriel actually with mixed emotions because she still needs to figure out a way to stop Sauron. And although I did call this part in my last video, I was really hoping Adar was going to survive, but this is one of my predictions that I didn't get right. As the tension reaches its peak, Galadriel finally confronts Sauron. The two engage in a fierce duel, and again, I think this was probably my favorite scene of not only season 2, also season 1. And during the fight, Sauron stabs Galadriel in the chest with Morgoth's crown. Now, when he does this, it looks like he's spreading some type of curse or some type of disease. So she is very badly hurt, but even as she struggles, she refuses to give up her ring, knowing that it is way too dangerous to fall into his hands. They go blow for blow, and finally at the end of the fight, when Galadriel seems to have lost, Sauron attempts to use his ability to deceive her into the believing that he is trying to heal Middle-earth. She takes the ring off of her finger and is about to hand it over to him, and then she says, "Heal yourself," and then she falls backwards off the cliff. Now, it looks like she kind of dumps off into like a tree and slowly kind of falls to the ground. Over in Eregion, the leaders of the elves have been gathered up by the orcs, and this includes Gil-galad, Elrond, and a much alive Arondir. I don't know if I love it. I mean, they obviously have more plans for Arondir. I kind of like that. I thought he was dead, to be honest with you. But he's alive. I don't know how. He got stabbed how many times, and he's kind of just walking around. I don't know. This is maybe my least favorite part of the episode. I really wish they would have just had him be killed. At this critical moment, a group of dwarves arrives to help, and this was led by Narvi. Now, Narvi is the dark-haired dwarf that we've seen a few times this season talking to Durin. They then inform Elrond that Prince Durin is in mourning due to the loss of his father. Gil-galad, Elrond, and Arondir manage to find a badly injured Galadriel, and with the help of the two elven rings, they begin to heal her and remove the corruption of Morgoth's crown from her. Now, this was a really interesting scene because we finally see Elrond actually put the ring on. Now, going back to my other theory about what these rings actually do for the wearer, well, he obviously wanted her to be okay, so that's what the ring allowed. The rest of the surviving elves retreat to a sanctuary to recover, and then we get pretty much our very first look at Rivendell. Back over in Store Village, the stranger begins to say his goodbyes to his friends, Nori and Poppy, and the Stores. Each one bids him a farewell as thank you, Grand Elf. Nori tells him that they have very different paths, and it's time that she walks hers and he walks his. And then as he walks the opposite direction, he finds a very famous looking staff, and he heads over to Tom Bombadil's house. He asks Tom if everything he has been through was just a test or one of his crazy riddles, helping the Harfoots to choose friendship over power, to find the staff. Tom says, a wizard does not find his staff. The staff finds him, like his name. And then we get the big reveal, which I've been calling since about episode 2 of season 1. But we do find out that this is Gandalf, and he says, "That's what they're going to call me, isn't it?" Now, let the song begin. The final scene, we head back over to Khazad-dûm. With the death of King Durin, we see Disa enter, and she is talking to Durin about how there is a possibility that there may be a struggle for the throne, since there's so many dwarves who do not see Durin IV as his father's successor. So now we have a whole new issue arising over there in Khazad-dûm. We know the Balrog is still there, so going into the next season, Khazad-dûm is going to be, I think, a big part of the season. Overall, I think this season was really good. I think that it, again, was better than season 1. I know there's a lot of people out there who just don't like the show. Listen, we all have our opinions. You're more than welcome to hate on it. I really think it's good. I liked it. I think it's great looking. I think it's beautiful. I thought, like I said, season 2 character development was much, much better. And I guess the only negative I would have for season 2 is I thought it did take a while, looking back, to kind of get things rolling. I did not like that Arondir survived. I would have been okay with him dying. I would have liked Celebrimbor to be more this on display, like in the written material. But honestly, I think everything else was really good. Maybe a little more with Isidore, but again, you have Arondir now surviving. Isidore, it looks like he's headed back to Numenor. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up crossing paths with his father, or are they going to just miss each other once again. But the end of the episode I thought was really good. We see all the elves regrouping. I thought it was really cool to see the great city of Rivendell. And I said a few episodes ago that I thought that Sauron was definitely going to win the season, which I think for the most part he did. He did gain the 9 Rings of Men, which obviously we're going to see him pass some of these out. I still think Farazan is going to get one of these. And I guess the only other thing would be is the Dark Wizard going to be Saruman, or is it going to be one of these blue wizards that are also in the text? Because I know a few people have told me a little bit about that as well. Anyways, guys, I am going to rate this episode 5 Gandalfs out of 5.
You shall not pass! You shall not pass! You shall not pass! You shall not pass! You shall not pass!
And remember, I have never read the text, so I don't know how much has been changed. I also don't know what is coming. Obviously, I've seen Lord of the Rings, so I know what some things are going to happen. And so I'm just interested to see how they're going to continue the story. And again, I know they have changed some stuff from the books, but I'm enjoying the show for what it is. I think it's beautiful to look at. Again, the story development and the character development in season 2 was vastly improved over season 1. All right, guys, thanks you so much. Don't forget to keep those heads on, and I will see you guys in the next video.